The House will come to order. Prayer by the chaplain.
Good afternoon. Before I pray, I just wanted to let you know that as you are voting and making decisions, you're doing so for my house. We're a house of 4 generations. We go from 92 to 1. My daughter has Down syndrome. My grandson has cerebral palsy. My mother-in-law has some memory issues. And so what you do here makes a big difference for us as Minnesotans and for me as I live in Chaska in my household. I'm thankful for your support. I'm thankful for all you do here. And what you do matters. And so thank you very much. Let's pray. Lord God, Heavenly Father, we thank you that you have gathered us together this afternoon. You are a God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You are the God of all nations, and you gather us as your people. Though we come from a variety of places and backgrounds, you have given us this good land as our heritage. We pray that you would help us to remember that we are one nation under your divine guidance. Allow us to hear your voice and lead us in ways that will be a blessing for those who follow. Though we are all created by your hand and gifted as individuals, we ask that you would gather us as one people with a united purpose to serve those of all life stages and abilities. Guide the men and women of this chamber to make decisions that are pleasing in your sight. Give them wisdom not to make the mistakes made by others in the past. Give them discernment to know which path to take for the good of your children and the courage to do that which you direct. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil course of action. Support us in defending our liberties and give those to whom we have entrusted the authority of government a spirit of justice and peace in our land. When times are prosperous, may our hearts be thankful, and in troubled times, do not let our trust in you fail. In Jesus' name we ask it. Amen.
The chaplain for today is Reverend Greg Snow from St. John's Lutheran Church in Chaska, Minnesota. Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. A quorum is present. The clerk will read the journal of the preceding day.
Journal of the House, 91st Session, 2019, 21st day, St. Paul, Minnesota, Wednesday, March 13th, 2019.
If there is no objection, further reading of the journal will be dispensed with, and the journal will stand approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Hearing no objection, the journal is approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Reports of standing committees and divisions. A copy of this order of business has been placed on each member's desk. If there is no objection, the reports will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the reports are adopted. Second reading of House files.
Second reading House File number 12.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 492.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 724.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 919.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 1188.
Second
Second
reading.
reading House File 1290.
Second reading.
reading House File 1511.
Second reading.
reading House File 1886.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 2004.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 2054.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 2062.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 2253.
Second reading.
And second reading House File 2276.
Second reading. Introduction of bills. The following House files have been offered for introduction today. The chief clerk will report the House files and give them their first reading.
Introduction of first reading of House Files 2470 through 2544.
First reading, House Files 2470 through 2544. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate, Madam Speaker. I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following Senate file herewith transmitted. Senate file number 2225, and the message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. First reading Senate file number 2225, an act relating to agriculture.
There's a motion at the desk. The clerk will report the motion.
Pursuant to Article 4, Section 19 of the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, Poppe moves that the rule therein be suspended and an urgency be declared, and that the rules of the House be so far suspended so that Senate file number 2225 be given its second and third readings and be placed upon its final passage.
I recognize the member from Mauer, Representative Poppe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, that is my motion. I would like to declare an urgency. Senate file number 2225 is a bill that we heard in the Ag Committee that deals with the Rural Finance Authority and their ability to declare a disaster right now for the benefit of dairy farmers and other farmers who have had roofs collapse at their farms.
The member from Pope, Representative Anderson, to the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and also thanks to Chair Poppe for this quick action today. I had some words ready to talk about this, and I think I will still say some of them. A front page story in today's Sauk Center Herald newspaper. 180 feet of a dairy barn collapsed last Saturday, and I talked to the owner today, and he said the cattle were moving between the milking parlor and their barn, and they could hear a loud creaking noise. He said the cattle, their ears perked up and they took off in both directions, and luckily most of them got out of the way before 180 feet of this roof collapsed. They did lose 3 head of cows to this. One suffered a broken leg, had to be put down. 2 others were literally buried by the heavy amounts of snow and rafters in the roof. They were able to move another couple hundred cows to different sites to continue milking. But Madam Speaker and members, this is an unusual situation where if I lose a machine shed, I'm going to have until spring to get the mess cleared up and get a tractor or combine repaired again. But if you're a dairy farmer, you got to get those cows milked tonight or tomorrow morning. You can't wait around a couple of weeks to see what happens with insurance. You got to get the repairs going, and our dairy farmers already are challenged by a lot of situations beyond their control. I've called this winter the one that never wants to quit, at least until yesterday when all this turned to rain. Back home where I live, we received about 8 to 10 inches of heavy, wet snow over the weekend. And I was literally knocking on wood and praying that my machine shed wouldn't come down under that heavy, wet snow. As of yesterday, the rain washed things off, and that shed is okay. But last count by Minnesota Milk today, they're estimating about 47 ag buildings have come down. 42 of those are dairy barns, cattle barns. And they're thinking that this may be a running tally as more reports come in of barns going down because of the heavy, wet snow caused by the rain and the snowiest February on record. They're thinking it could be up to 100 buildings that have been damaged. They don't have an official count yet, but this is beginning to be a major disaster for the folks affected in this situation. The governor and legislators want to thank those who went along on the tour last weekend to tour the area and saw firsthand a lot of the damage that has occurred. And the dairy folks were in the Capitol yesterday, had a reception, and was very pleased to have Governor Walz there on hand as well to speak to the dairy farmers. And he talked about that one dairy cow has the impact of, I think he said, $17,000 of economic activity. So this is a strong industry for the state of Minnesota, and we need to be there to help our dairy farmers as they face this crisis, as well as 3 to 4 years of low commodity prices, high feed costs, and things like that, as they face some very, very stressful times. Another aspect, I talked to a gal again today. This is a lady up in the Bruton area. She milks cows. She milks 80 cows, and because of the wet summer last year, good quality dairy hay is extremely high priced and in short supply. And they usually figure, $1 per pound of what they call relative feed value. But because of the shortages of good quality hay, she's paying about $260 a ton for dairy quality hay. Now that's 2,000 pounds. And she says to feed just her milk cows, she goes through 1,600 pounds of hay a day. So you can see how those expenses add up. And at the end of the month, the check that these dairy folks receive in a lot of cases doesn't cover the bills they've amassed during the month to keep their operations going. So, Madam Speaker and members, this is an urgent matter. We need to get this funding available as soon as we can. And the Senate bill did make a clarifying change. It added on line 111, qualifying as a condition, the weight of snow, sleet, or ice. So, Madam Speaker and members, I strongly support this resolution to move this bill as quickly as possible. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Lyon, Representative Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I too stand in support of this motion. I think we all have those folks in our districts that have experienced this just driving up Highway 212 on the way from back home. On this weekend, I saw at least 2 or 3 barns down, and I just had a constituent in today with the Pork Producers Association. This is not a dairy-only issue that we're dealing with, and they had a barn on their property that had over 2,500 head of animals in it that collapsed, and praise the Lord, they only lost 10 animals, and no one was injured in the process of removing the animals and helping the animals get out of the structure. So this is very timely. I appreciate agriculture oftentimes is a bipartisan effort here on the House, and we thank you for this, that we can continue that trend for now. Thank you.
The member from Polk, Representative Keel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Chair Poppe, thank you very much for bringing this forward. Members, this is very important to the ag industry. As Representative Anderson talked about, the fact that we had snowstorm up in the western part of the state. We also had 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. I believe there may still be going on. And just the weight of the wet snow plus the winds really are difficult for our barns to handle. And I don't know how to explain it. I go back to our avian flu problems, the frustration for the farmers. These animals are like family to them, believe it or not. They are so important to them, and to have a structure fail doesn't mean that it's a huge loss. And I'm not sure if members understand the loss. It isn't just the investment in that cow today. It is all the investment that has been going on for the years that it has grown, the years that it provides milk. There's a lot of investment involved in milk production. And I would challenge any of you that think about what you ate today already. Did you have a bowl of cereal? Did you drink a glass of milk? Did you have some yogurt? How about a little bit of cheese? Those are all things that come from our farmers, our dairy farmers, and the importance of what they do for our industry, our state alone is the economic value. I believe Representative Anderson said $17,000 million, right? 17,000. And the importance of what that does for not just rural Minnesota. Those dollars turn over quite a bit, and the small communities expect or need those activities to happen for all the services that the farmers need. But it also, remember, that goes to the suburban area or in the Minneapolis area. Some of it's processed in different parts of the state. And that economic value for Minnesota is very important. The dairy industry, I believe, when I read on the Minnesota Ag website that it is the second, I'm going to read this so I make sure I get it. The dairy production is the second largest livestock sector in the state behind hogs. So it's very important to rural Minnesota, but I want to emphasize the fact that it's very important to all of Minnesota. And next time you raise a glass of milk or have a little bit of yogurt, you can think about these dairy farmers and what they do. And oh, by the way, remember, they don't just go out once a day. They go visit those cows more than once a day because they appreciate being milked at least twice. So with that, thank you very much for bringing this urgency forward.
The member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank Chair Poppe for bringing this forward. This is an urgent issue, and I don't have the opportunity to serve on the Ag Committee anymore, although I am a farmer by trade, not a dairy farmer, so I have it a little bit easier. I have a hog barn on my farm that's a little less labor intensive, but you know, it's hard to really appreciate just how critical this issue is and how hard our dairy farmers work. It's just imagine if you had to come to this floor 2 or 3 times a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Just think about that for a minute. It would be challenging. And that's what dairy farmers do and have done on many of these farms. They've done this for many generations, for over 100 years in some cases. And it's not just about building collapses right now. It's also about the fact that milk prices are low and have been low for a long time. At the same time as we've seen a sharp increase in hay prices, has been mentioned here earlier. The squeeze is on. It's very challenging for these operations, these family farms, to stay in business in these very difficult times. Well, then we throw in this winter from, I don't know where it's from, but I think it came from Canada or North Dakota or someplace outstate, because it's a much worse winter than we really deserve. And it's put a lot of pressure on not only farmers and dairy farmers, but on all of us, really. I'm sure any one of us could tell a story about what it's like to be trying to get around the state of Minnesota this year in these horrible conditions that we've experienced with ice and snow and now rain, roads that are clogged and traffic that is snarled. Something else we'll be working on as we go through the session. I turn to Representative Hornstein as he nods his head. Thank you for that. But just think if you had to go out and milk those cows 2 or 3 times a day, in spite of these horrible conditions that we've been experiencing this year as far as weather goes, and then you pile a bunch of snow on top of your barn, and then you put rain on top of that snow, and that's when we get this tremendous amount of weight on buildings that are well built, but they're not that well built. And then they come crashing down. Luckily, in many cases, the cows have been spared, but not all. If you go online, you can see pictures of dead animals that have suffered and been killed in this kind of catastrophe. It's a real shame, and it hurts not only the financial situation, but it's a hurt in the heart for a farmer to lose his livestock. And then you've got to figure out if your barn is out of commission, whether it's the milking parlor or the manure system that handles the manure, whatever it is, you've got to figure out what to do with those animals that are still alive. You've got to find a home for them. You've got to figure out a way to get them milked because they can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to quit giving milk for a few days, Mr. Farmer, while you get things straightened out." They need to be milked every day. The Senate has sent us a very important bill. We're happy to have it. I'm happy to support it. I'm hoping that we can get this done today and do what we need to do to help the farmers, the dairy farmers especially, across this great state of Minnesota, to support this industry that is so important to each and every one of us. I think everyone here probably consumes some kind of dairy product every day. Maybe not everyone, but almost everyone. I know there's a few that can't, but whether it's cheese or milk or whatever, we all need and appreciate what our dairy farmers do for us and what our cows do for us every day here in the great state of Minnesota. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Stearns, Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I have to tell you, one of the things that has been on my mind an awful lot this session is I'm in St. Paul and my home is back in Sartell, 75, 80 miles away. And as that snow is coming and it's piling up on my roof at my home, it's piling up on my neighbor's roof, they're home to be able to watch their property. When you come from greater Minnesota, you don't always have that ability to drive home in the metro, be able to look at and monitor your situation every day. That's an extra stress that the members in the legislature have to carry from greater Minnesota. And the interesting part about that is when I go home, and I've been out in my yard with the lights up on the ladder with the rake, dragging snow off the top of my house at 11 o'clock at night. Why? Because that's the time I get home from here. And I oftentimes think about the people who are in the agricultural industry as well. Yesterday we had the opportunity to have a lot of folks down from Farm Bureau. I had about 15 people in my office, and they were in good spirits. And they said, here are our issues this year. One of the things they said, Representative O'Driscoll, I got to thank you. You and the members of the legislature, you took care of us. Our suicide rate is extremely high right now among people in the agricultural industry. And with that suicide rate comes a lot of stress on the family, and that's why there's suicide. The fact that your roof collapsed on your barn isn't going to be a helping factor with your mental disposition. The folks in our ag industry right now need our help, and this is what they need. And I sure hope that the members will join me in supporting Chair Poppe in this motion today. If we find out in the next 6 months that there hasn't been a suicide, you can take solace in the fact that you helped prevent another suicide on a farmer whose financial situation, market conditions are pressuring them, weighing down on them more than the roof, the snow on the roof, and the rains that have come. Not only is it affecting the people in the ag business, but I check in the paper and the radio stations every day, and there are other businesses in my area, central Minnesota, that are experiencing roof collapses as well. And one of the things I can't help but thinking about at this time of the year as well is we've got St. Patrick's Day coming up on Sunday. I'm of Irish descent. And one of the things I think about is one of the things that brought a number of the people from Ireland to the United States was an agricultural crisis, the potato famine, looking and seeking a new home in the United States, laboring where they could to try to adapt, be a part of this country as immigrants. And many of them stayed in the farming business, brought that trade that they were involved in from Ireland to the United States and helped America as we were growing and prospering to be able to learn more how to feed itself. I think of the work that St. Patrick did, the patron saint of Ireland. And I also think about the fact that this great city of St. Paul was founded by Irish immigrants as well, among others. But you know, we have that opportunity today to do the next right thing. Please join me in supporting Chair Poppe to do the next right thing and help Minnesota farmers. And again, how do you know you did the right thing? Your heart will tell you that. How do you know you did the right thing? If we don't read in the paper that there were additional suicides because family members say the stress of dealing with the agricultural industry, having to build new roofs, but they don't have the resources. We have that chance right now to show Minnesota that we care. Please join me in supporting Chair Poppe and the motion today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. A few weeks ago, I had a discussion with a dairy farmer I've known for decades. His family's been in the business for generations. He said times were tough. Shortly after that, I heard about with the storms, they weren't able to get the milk trucks out, and they had to dump the milk. Not too long ago, I heard their barn roof collapsed. And you might, if you haven't grown up in the ag area, you might not realize good weather, bad weather, you went out and did those chores. You took care of the animals. Feeling good, feeling sick, you got up, you went out, and you took care of those animals. Almost every one of my relatives that's a dairy farmer knows every single name of every cattle or cow that they have, who the mother was. And it's not just a cow to them. It's part of the family. It's part of the tradition. And it's a tough time for the industry to begin with. You add that maybe you've had to dump all of your milk and don't have any of that income, and now your roof collapses. But the only good thing about this is an example where we come together bipartisanly, do the right thing, and support our citizens in a time of need. And I want to thank everyone for their consideration, and I really hope that we can pass this and help our farmers. Thank you.
The member from Sibley, Representative Grunhagen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise in support of the Poppe resolution and thank her for bringing this forward. I own an independent insurance agency. We have a lot of rural properties insured, and one of the things for members to understand is because of the high cost of replacement of farm buildings, many farmers don't insure their buildings for 100% of replacement costs. They insure maybe 50, 60, 40, or even 30%, especially older barns. So when they have a collapse like this, they not only have their deductible, they have a significant portion of that risk that they have to pick up themselves, besides the damage that also happens to the things that are inside their shed, whatever that might be. And as other members have mentioned, there's a lot of stress in farming. I was raised on a dairy, hog, and chicken farm, and even sheep. That's when farms diversified a little bit more. And, you take a lot of risk. And so there's already a lot of stress. And right now, just about every aspect of farming in terms of income is down, and every aspect of farming in terms of expense is up. And it's creating a lot of stress in the rural areas. So again, I want to thank Representative Poppe for bringing this forward and urge people to support this and give a lift to the farmers who've had this happen. I've had a couple clients of my own had collapses. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Nicollet, Representative Brand.
Madam Speaker, members of the House, thank you for this opportunity today to talk a little bit about dairy farmers. I had the fortune of growing up on my family's dairy farm, so I understand the position of dairy farmer, the stresses, the difficulties, and also the good fortune of being a dairy farmer and what that also entails for the livelihood. And so it's a difficult time right now, just as it has been in the past, and we're compounding the difficulties with the weather, which we can never predict. I had a member from my district, a good friend of mine, who I found out this weekend had a farm that also had a collapse. And so I reached out to him and I said, hey, what's going on and how can we be of help? He said, things are still moving along. Just last part of the barn where I mainly have the cows before milking them. We made some adjustments and still milking. Thanks for reaching out. That's what farmers do. They make adjustments and they keep moving forward. And so today we have the opportunity to say thank you for what they do for our economy and for our state, and an opportunity to help them out in a time of despair. So I would urge everybody to light up that board in green and in favor of this. And thank you, Chair Poppe, for suspending the rules today.
The member from Morrison, Representative Kreshaw.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members, and thank you, Representative Poppe, for bringing this forward. One of the things I really enjoy about in the legislature is when members really come to something with their heart, and Representative Poppe has always brought sincere bills and ones that I think really go to. I remember serving on your committee, Representative Poppe, when I first came in, and I remember that fondly because of the sincerity and the genuineness that you had for everyone that came in front of your committee, and I know this bill comes from that as well, so thank you for that. I fully support the motion. In my area, I just had a conversation with a dairy farmer, Daystar Dairy, who was actually on KSTP News and highlighted about the roof collapse in his area. It's a family that I've known for a long time, and he was at the Capitol, and I'll be honest, I wasn't sure I was ready to talk to him. I knew how hard this would be, and I didn't know what it was going to be like for him, and I thanked him for what he does, and I said, you know, my condolences on what happened, and he turned to me and says, you know, Ron, we're in business and we understand the risks. And he wasn't asking for us to do anything. He wasn't asking for anything in particular, but I could tell behind that was just the stress of what you deal with as a human being. You know, we talk about the humanness, but a lot of times we look at agriculture as just a business, but it's so much more than that. I mean, many people, when they wake up from their jobs, or when they wake up and go to their jobs, they leave their house, they drive, they commute, they walk out the door, and there they are. I remember my days growing up on the farm. You're just always on, and the stress of that, you can't leave with a commute because you go to bed outside the window hearing about all the business. So I know how important this is. I know how incredibly beneficial this will be. It may not get to everybody, but what it will do is remove some of that uncertainty for our constituents and our members in the agriculture community to say, at least you're listening. At least you're trying to help. And so often I think of what we do in our jobs here is we give the impression that we're not listening or that we can't help out. This is an opportunity today with a vote, and thank you again, Representative Poppe, to actually go back to our districts this weekend and let them know we're trying to make things better in a very difficult environment. So thank you, Representative Poppe, and members. I support this, and I hope you'll vote green on the motion.
The member from Roseau, Representative Fabian. The member from Carver, Representative Nash.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Carver County has a lot of dairy farmers, and I meet with them regularly, and they're in desperate times right now, and I think this is, Chair Poppe, thank you for bringing this forward, and I support this fully. Dairy farmers are in bad shape right now, and there's such a bad thing happening to them that in my district last year in the month of November, one of them had the fuel bill come due on one day, and the mortgage, and the feed bill, and a bill from the implement dealer all come due on one day, and they didn't have the money. So their solution was to go out to the barn and kill themselves. And members, that was a hard thing to happen in the farming community in Carver County because it's very tight-knit, as you all know. So I met with a lot of the dairy farmers in my district, and I found out recently that there are other folks who have expressed that that may be the solution that they ultimately and sadly seek on their own. We don't want something like the weather to compound that issue for them. We don't want to have that happen as a result of our inactivity. So I fully support this, Chair Poppe, and I again appreciate this. Members, you may not live in a farming district, but we're a farming state. We're an ag state. And this will send a strong message to those people in the outstate that you're here and we're listening. I know that certainly for the people in my district that it's very, very important because even though somebody seems to like to claim that the cheese from their district is better than Carver County cheese through Bongards is fantastic. And most of my farmers deliver their milk to Bongards, but Chair Poppe, again, thank you. Madam Speaker, thank you. Folks, let's light this board up green. Thank you.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Cleavorn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is really important, and I would like to support Chair Poppe in this endeavor. We have been talking about our Minnesota Values Project, and we've heard all around the state how our families are struggling. And we've heard the refrain over and over, see me, hear me. I know what my needs are, but I may need a little bit of help. We, on this side of the aisle, are also very proud of our agricultural heritage in Minnesota. Everyone in this house is here because we care about each other. We are caring for our state when we help each other. In the Agricultural Committee, we have heard loud and clear that all of agriculture is struggling right now. It's not just the dairy farmers, it's not just the commodity farmers, it's our entire industry that is seeking help. I'm asking for the members on our side of the aisle to please support this bill. We are a caring and compassionate people. We care about our neighbors, and I encourage all of you who believe in the Minnesota values that brought us here to please step up and vote green. Thank you.
The member from Meeker, Representative Erdahl.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Dairy has a rich history in the state of Minnesota. Many of our Norwegian, Swedish, and German ancestors came here specifically to farm in Minnesota dairy. My great-great-grandfather, Ole Halverson Ness, came in 1856, and we have a pictograph of him with his dairy cattle in his farm southwest of Litchfield. But in the 17 years that I've been in the legislature, the numbers of dairy farms have been shrinking, and we're down to losing about a farm a day now. Fortunately, production of milk has been stable, but it's come through larger farms having more and more cattle, up to thousands of cattle now on the farm. And so now they are being hit by multiple disasters: low prices, snow, rain, losing farms. We literally have danger in the manger. One of my constituents yesterday had 180 feet of his roof come down. Fortunately, only losing 3 cows. But we need to offer assistance. Then there's the impact on our smaller towns of the dairy industry. Now, many of you are familiar with, especially those who are not new here, are familiar with Cheese Day. And yes, Bongards has fine cheese, but cheese comes from First District Association in Litchfield, and my wife Karen and I, for about 15 years, have been having Cheese Day. First District Association was founded in Litchfield as the First District of Land O'Lakes. And 7 million pounds of milk each day come down the streets of Litchfield to go to First District, which takes up 4 complete city blocks in the town of Litchfield. A little highlight here. Every Dorito in the world is coated with cheese from Litchfield. Jobs in Litchfield depend on dairy. A decline in the industry impacts my constituents and people throughout greater Minnesota. And so we need to do what we can to support this bedrock of our Minnesota economy and support Representative Poppe's bill. Thank you.
The member from Rice, Representative Lippert.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I want to thank Chair Poppe as well for bringing this important issue forward. As a pastor, I served for nearly 10 years in the heart of dairy country in Wisconsin, and I spent quite a bit of time in dairy farms. If I needed to find one of my farmers, if there was some counseling that was needed, I always knew where I could find them and when. So I would go to the barn in the afternoon and have a conversation with them. And they talked about the stress of holding their operations together at that time. And in my district, I've had conversations with dairy farmers who are concerned about whether they'll be able to keep their farms running over the next 3 years. And of course, they're not alone. And I can't imagine, on top of that, dealing with the intensified weather that climate change is bringing now, with this sort of heavy snow and crazy whipsaw weather that we're facing, and facing a barn collapse on top of everything else. I'm also very concerned about the mental health that farmers are wrestling with right now and want to be preventing suicides too. And so this vote is important. It frees up money, but it also says that we're paying attention and that we care about our whole state. And so I urge support for this measure as well. Thank you.
The member from Goodhue, Representative Haley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I had the opportunity to meet with some farmers from Goodhue this week and also with an insurance agent. Now, I first want you to picture Goodhue, Minnesota. It's a small town off the freeway between Red Wing and Rochester. 1,000 people live in Goodhue. Goodhue still has a school that is kindergarten through 12th grade, where the seniors in high school walk the little ones in every morning, and they all have lunch together. Goodhue is a community where you all go to the football game on Friday night. Goodhue is a community that has really good state wrestling record from the farm boys who do the work. Goodhue is a community that helps each other. And when I met with one of my farmers this week, he said, Barb, we've been lucky. We haven't had any collapses on our farm. But our neighbors down the road, you know that intersection, Barb, we've driven there many times. I said, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Their buildings collapsed. They had 2 collapse. And the guy down the next road, he had another one collapse. And the guy down a couple blocks over. This is everywhere. And as I was talking to him, he said, he's a very humble man. He said, you know, farmers, we don't come to the state and ask for much. That's not what we do. We help each other as much as we can. We're family, we stick together. We dig deep and we try to figure it out on our own. But this is just layer upon layer upon layer of difficulty that they can't literally dig out of anymore. He talked about that neighbor down the street that lost 2 buildings, and one of those, he also lost the cattle. And this is a farm family that their kids have grown up together. They've gone to church together. They've gone to those high school football games together. And that farmer said to him, when I had to sell those cattle at a loss because I didn't have a place to house them anymore, and I don't have the money to replace those buildings. And they were sitting around the kitchen table that night, and he said, I'm out. I'm done. I can't do it anymore, Ben. And I want to point out to you, and in all thanks to Chair Poppe for this bill, and thanks to my Senator Goggin on the other body for bringing it forward in the Senate, this is a loan program. I sit on many committees where we hear about grants, competitive grants, direct grants, grants from the general fund, grants every day to help people in need, good programs, many, many hours of testimony on good programs about grants, direct money to help people in need. This is a revolving loan program. They have to pay this money back. And they are even humbly asking for a loan. They're not even asking us for a direct grant. Let that sink in. And then let me read to you from my insurance agent who told me story after story, and I asked him to document it in an email so I could be correct with my figures. He said in the past 2 weeks, with the heavy snow and the collapse of buildings, the damage to machinery and livestock in these buildings, and then the strong winds on top of that, we are seeing losses of over $1 million to our policyholders. Now remember what I told you about Goodhue and the tiny community that it is, over $1 million to their policyholders. In one day, they had 10 farmers come in with collapsed buildings, 10 in one day. And even as the insurance agent, he was so troubled. He was almost overcome with emotion about what they were going to do. He said many of these losses are on farm buildings that have actual cash value policies. And as one of my colleagues pointed out, actual cash value, that's the value of the building today as you're looking at it. In insurance, there's something called full replacement value. Farmers don't have full replacement value on these buildings. So even with their insurance policy, there is not enough money to pay to rebuild. They have done the right thing. They have taken out insurance. But that's not even going to be there to help them. Even with these staggering losses, $1 million to this one small agent, these agents that are covering the farmers may go out of business because their reinsurance may not even cover their losses. So this is a compounding impact to these small communities. Farming is hurting. This is his closing comment. And one area where they can cut back when times get tough is even sometimes on their farm insurance. But many of them are already deep in debt. And so even these loans, although they may help, they may not be the answer. But we are here. We will help them. All of us will work together. And we will try our best. We are only 10 weeks, Barb, into 2019. Only 10 weeks. And these losses, we have seen losses like we have never, ever seen before. So I urge you to come together and support this resolution and help people that are the hardest working people that I have ever met. Thank you, members.
The member from Anoka, Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And my experience with barns has been, my grandfather had one growing up, and I used to spend a lot of time there. And he had a few cows that he milked. But several years ago, as a legislator, I was invited out to a dairy farm near Mazeppa in Representative Drazkowski's district. And there I saw dairy farming on a whole new level. And I don't know how many hundreds of heads of cattle they had there, but it was quite massive, and I came away thinking this is the cow spa. They had misters and everything to keep the cows comfortable so they would produce more milk. And they had different barns for different stages of calving and so forth. And so I'm really supportive of this, this motion to do away with the rules, suspend the rules, and take this bill up. And Representative Drazkowski, I'm just wondering, I know you have a lot of dairy farmers in your area. Were several of them affected by the collapsed roofs? If you would yield to a question.
He will yield. Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Representative Scott. As a matter of fact, in southeast Minnesota, we've had dozens of buildings. At one point, 10 days ago, it was over 25 dairy barns, and it's likely higher than that. And there's certainly barns of other types on other livestock and non-livestock farms as well. And Representative Poppe and I, for each of the last 2 weekends together, we're visiting 2 dairy farms in our district, in my district, and thank you, Representative Poppe, for bringing this bill through, and also for coming out and listening to the folks and sharing your thoughts. They certainly appreciate it. And you know, we saw there what I think everybody so far has talked about. We saw a very resilient farming community who is often very, very resilient. As Representative Haley mentioned, Representative Scott, they're very hardworking people with lots of dignity. They have been faced with negative cash flows on their farms for each of the last 4 years. So they've lost money each of the last 4 years. And for the blizzard that came and devastated then many of these farms in the last, 2.5 weeks ago now, one barn, for instance, members and Representative Scott and Madam Speaker, one barn was 280 feet long. They lost the entire roof. And to show the determination of these hardworking farmers in the tight-knit community that they have, just as an example of that, the farmers articulated very clearly to us how they use social media at 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning after they discovered that their barns had gone down. This one farm decided immediately that they had to liquidate their herd because they had no place to go with it. So they came up with, in 24 hours, they had 20 or 30 different livestock trailers lined up on their farm, largely by social media. These are neighbors that just showed up. And they showed up and they provided the transportation to get the cows off the farm to the new buyer, and in 24 hours they had sold and liquidated, with the help of their neighbors, 400 cows off of their farm that otherwise would have been in a very difficult and perilous situation there. So that's one example. That same farmer, members, Representative Scott, Madam Speaker, that same farmer shared with me, and it has been talked about, the economic impact and the reach, 83 different vendors that relate to that farm, bringing farm supplies and support services to that farm, 83 vendors that are impacted, and that's the same with each and every one of these farms. I'd like to thank the Kreidemacher family and the Clark family. As a matter of fact, Becky Clark, 2 weekends ago, she took a picture, we took a picture of her and her dad and her granddad in their milking parlor. Granddad is 82 years old and he was milking that day. 82 years old. He's going to retire when he's 83. And so, members, that tells the commitment, the determination, the resilience, and the character, the work ethic of these farm families. But as was mentioned, they have been beaten down with 4 years of negative prices. And for these types of catastrophic, uncontrollable situations to come on top of them is just more than they can bear at this point. And what Representative Poppe is going to be bringing forward, and I won't talk to the bill right now, Madam Speaker, because I don't think that's appropriate, but what she is offering there is not really a lot to ask. It's something that happens regularly. It's simply, I think a lot of people could look at this as an oversight in law because these are full 100% in the spirit of the underlying law that we have here. But Representative Scott, Madam Speaker, members, everything that's been said here is very, very much what we're seeing. Our farmers in Minnesota will certainly appreciate any sort of support that we can give them here today, and certainly as well, and maybe equally as well, appreciate the recognition of what they do and their determination to work hard, raise their families, build their communities as they do so well, and continue to make Minnesota a strong and prosperous state. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Representative Scott.
Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Representative Jaskowski. And I don't remember the name of the family whose farm I visited a few years ago. You probably do, but please give them my best regards, whether their roof collapsed or not, and just let the people of your area know that we are thinking of them and hope that this will help them. Thank you.
The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and members. To the bill and the urgency, I think it's important that as a suburban member we support Senate File 2225 and declare an urgency. The discussion that's occurred talks about the weather, as all we have to do is look outside and see that it's continuing. I do want to point out a couple things. We've been talking a lot about dairy, but there's some impacts that occur on agriculture with weather, particularly with flooding or if the roofs have collapsed. The feed, seed, crop inputs. So you may have folks who've already purchased their inputs. They've purchased their seed, they have their feed that's under a roof, and this damage that occurs, you're not only losing the building, you're losing those inputs or you're losing the feed that may be there. So I think the reason we need to declare an urgency is not just the physical structure, but there may be things that are lost that the underlying law would help support, and I would encourage strong support for suspension of the rules to declare the urgency and then voting for the underlying bill.
The member from Roseau, Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Chair Poppe, thank you for bringing this forward. You know, as we speak here on the House floor right now, there's a blizzard going on up in the Red River Valley, and many of the state highways are closed. Interstate 29 is closed, 94 in Fargo is closed. And I just want to speak in support of this motion to suspend the rules and vote for this very, very important piece of legislation that sits before us. The other thing that I don't know if it's been mentioned, I had to step out for a couple of minutes. Today, ironically, is National Agriculture Day. So I just want to put in a plug for all of agriculture. It's incredibly important in the state of Minnesota. It's incredibly important in the district that I'm honored to represent. And farmers and ranchers work really, really hard. They really do. And we've had many discussions about farming and agriculture. And I really, really support agriculture. And I really appreciate the support that agriculture gets here in the legislature. So again, Chair Poppe, thank you for bringing this forward. And I look forward to a green vote from everyone. Thank you.
The member from Freeborn, Representative Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I just also want to thank Chair Poppe for bringing this forward. I have a lot of farms in my district, and I've had the privilege of visiting many of them. And they are hardworking people, and when things like this hit, it's tough on them because it's a tough season and for farmers. But what I wanted to add was this not only actually affects farms, but it affected our Freeborn County Fair site. We had a horse, I don't know if they call it horse barn or horse arena, and the roof collapsed for that as well. So this is a big deal. And I just wanted to add a little history tidbit here. I'm reading a book right now on early Fort Snelling. Representative Erdahl will love that. And they talked about back then these 15-foot snow drifts that would come. It snowed a lot back then too sometimes. Luckily their structures weren't quite as large as ours are, so it didn't affect those structures as much as it does affect us, although they had other hardships. So I guess what goes around comes around. The weather kind of cycles through, and we're getting the same type of weather that they had back when early Fort Snelling existed. So Representative Poppe, thank you again. This is much needed.
Further discussion to the motion. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to suspend the rules, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails.
Clerk will give the bill its second reading.
The clerk will give the bill its second reading.
Second reading, Senate File Number 2225.
Second reading. There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File Number 2225.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. The member from Mauer, Representative Poppe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just to be a little bit more descriptive of what this bill is and what it does, this is Senate File Number 2225. It matches up to House File 2093, but it doesn't match identically. What we did in committee, we made some changes to the bill, but what the Senate did on the floor was to make some changes as well. So I just wanted to review that so that people would be aware. On line 1.11, where they add "or the weight of snow, sleet, or ice," that's really to be specific to this disaster. Certainly, we've heard from everybody that wanted to be able to share their stories today, so that we know that it's a serious issue. Certainly, I've had the benefit of going to the farms in southeastern Minnesota, but I know that there are farms throughout the state, actually, and has been mentioned. They are dairy farms, but they are other farms as well. So many people have been impacted by that. And then the other change is on line 2.4, where it's due to an emergency as determined by the authority. And what this bill actually does is allow the Rural Finance Authority to make the determination about the declaration of the disaster. Many of these situations, as we've heard, are private families, private farms. This isn't public infrastructure we're talking about. These are private farms and families that have been impacted, and so it's a little bit different when you're thinking about trying to get a gubernatorial or a presidential declaration. So this allows the Rural Finance Authority to make that declaration. And then the third thing that has been in both bills is this act is effective retroactively from January 1 of 2019, and the reason for that is obvious. We've been hearing about the number of issues that people have had, and so I just wanted to be a little bit clearer, and now we have the bill before us, and this is what the bill does. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Discussion to the bill. The member from Isanti, Representative Johnson.
Chair Hoppe, members, I want to thank you for bringing this forward. This is very important. For those of you who don't know, I grew up on a dairy farm. When I was growing up, it wasn't that many decades ago, within a half mile, we had 6 to 8 dairy farms. Now in my county, we have 3. One of those farmers, their family was in my office yesterday for Dairy Day. Our dairy farmers are struggling very hard in this state. They had sold half their herd off earlier last month. Her husband, for the first time in 22 years, had to go get a job off the farm. They're very much stressed. And with this bill, we can help those that are stressed to hopefully keep the family tradition of the family dairy farm going, which is one of the most important industries we have in this state. So again, Chair Poppe, thank you.
Discussion to the bill. The member from Cottonwood, Representative Hamilton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Chair Poppe, I simply want to say thank you for bringing this forward and ask for a green vote. Thank you.
The member from Poppe, Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to say thanks to all the members in the body today for all of the words of support and the strong support that you've all shown for agriculture and for farmers. It's appreciated, and I feel proud today of what I suspect will be a unanimous green board. So again, thanks to Chair Poppe, but thanks to everybody for your compassion, your thoughts, and all of those things. Just one final word, Madam Speaker. When I talked to the gentleman, the farmer that had their building go down today, and I was asking about the numbers, how big was the building, how many cows did you lose, things like that, and he said, just a second, we are so thankful that nobody got hurt. You know, it puts things in perspective, and these are good folks, and I think Representative Haley really characterized the small town togetherness and the feeling of what dairy folks and small town people do. So again, thank you all very much, and I would love to see a total green board. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any further discussion to the bill? The member from Hennepin, Representative Winkler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, on behalf of the Democratic Farmer Labor Caucus, I would ask all members to support this bill today. Representative Poppe has done excellent work in her committee this session already, very quickly moving legislation to deal with a crisis among dairy farms. And I have to, of course, we all have our farm history, and my own family started in Minnesota as dairy farmers. And in fact, I am a DFLer probably because my grandparents were DFLers as a result of a past farm crisis and the leadership of Franklin D. Roosevelt and the New Deal in bringing some measure of relief to farmers, including not just relief of this nature, but rural electricity, rural telephones. There's a great tradition in Minnesota and nationwide of helping rural areas, rural communities, and farmers succeed despite all the vicissitudes of weather and market and climate, and we will continue to do that. We are committed to doing it. And members, I would ask all of us to vote green today.
The author of the bill, the member from Mauer, Representative Poppe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to everyone who is able to speak and share stories and offer their support, because absolutely we need to thank our farmers. They continue to do just yeoman's work every single day. And they do it often with a smile on their face, with an optimistic view, with a belief in the greater good. They're just so resilient, and this is a way to allow them to continue to be resilient. And what we're doing today is taking up a Senate file. They amended it. They put that before us, so we wanted to be able to take care of this today, but I'm going to urge that the Senate actually take up our House File 432. That is the bill, or 232, excuse me, our mental health bill that last week we all unanimously supported. The Senate could be reciprocating in our action today by taking that bill up, because that would certainly also help all of our farmers and the stress they've been feeling. So thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, members.
The clerk will take the roll on the bill. Elkins votes aye. The clerk will close the roll. There being 127 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Calendar for the day. The first bill on the calendar for the day is House File 349. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 349, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to health, the first engrossment.
I recognize the member from Dakota, Representative Halverson, to your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. House File 349 adds e-cigarettes to Minnesota's clean indoor air protections. I want to start off by thanking the members on both sides of the aisle who have signed on to this bill and indicated their support for this bill. It always feels good to work in a bipartisan way, but particularly when we're talking about our kids' health. In 2007, when Freedom to Breathe passed this legislature, e-cigarettes really weren't part of the equation. We didn't really know what they were, but now we know. We know to a startling degree about e-cigarette use in Minnesota. In fact, 1 in 5 Minnesota high school students are users of e-cigarettes. And these are kids who were not users of other tobacco products before. This is a new nicotine delivery system for our kids. That's the reality. And it's having an impact on youth smoking rates and smoking rates in the state of Minnesota. We're losing ground for the first time in over 17 years of great work by Minnesotans in helping to keep smoking rates low in the state of Minnesota. Now youth tobacco use is on the rise, and e-cigarettes are a direct cause. E-cigarettes are not a safe alternative to smoking. E-cigarette vapors contain dangerous chemicals like formaldehyde, heavy metals, and other cancer-causing agents. E-cigarettes contain nicotine. Nicotine is a harmful chemical. It causes hardening of the arteries. It causes brain development issues in young people, and it creates pathways for addiction in the brain. It has an immense impact on the brain. And these chemicals being used indoors are undermining our clean indoor air protections in Minnesota. E-cigarettes are also not a quit smoking tool. In fact, the companies that make these products, and large tobacco companies typically own e-cigarette products, sued the FDA to make sure they weren't considered to be a quit smoking tool. So that right there tells you that they're not. We have many quit smoking tools available that are FDA approved and proven to work. In addition, in Minnesota, we have our quit line and free counseling that's available to Minnesotans to quit smoking. Those are the policies that we put in place to make sure that Minnesotans had the access to quitting smoking and support for quitting smoking that they needed. And e-cigarettes are not a quit smoking tool. They are a nicotine delivery device. E-cigarettes are also ushering in an epidemic of youth smoking. For the first time in the years, as I mentioned, youth smoking rates are on the rise. 50%, it's risen 50% since 2014. 50%. That is a startling increase over the years where we just nipped away at smoking rates by 1%, 2%, and that was a huge victory. And e-cigarette use went up 50% in the course of just 5 years. That is a startling, startling statistic. The people of Minnesota expect clean indoor air, and they've enjoyed clean indoor air in Minnesota. In fact, it's one of the most popular policies that we have passed in Minnesota. Congratulations, Minnesota legislature. In December, a Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota poll found that over 80% of Minnesotans support adding e-cigarettes to our clean indoor air laws. And it's not just the people of Minnesota that are out there supporting this. Over 50 communities have taken on this issue on their own and added clean indoor air to their clean indoor air restrictions, have added e-cigarettes to their clean indoor air policies. And so communities around the state more and more are being covered by this policy. And so organizations like the League of Minnesota Cities and our local governments are saying this needs to be a statewide policy. It's time for the state to take this on. And so we are working for a statewide law. In addition, we've got health organizations that are supporting us, such as the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association, the American Lung Association. Talk to doctors, talk to nurses. This is an important health policy for the state of Minnesota. In addition, the Building Owners and Managers Association, those folks who operate our shopping malls around the state, also support this policy. I think it's important to note that. In short, members, this policy is important for the health of Minnesotans. And it's time for us as lawmakers to bring clean indoor air across the board to all communities in Minnesota and let Minnesotans enjoy the clean air that they expect in our state. Thank you, Madam Speaker and members.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 349.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. The member from Fillmore, Representative Davids.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and members. If the author of the bill would yield, please.
She will yield. Representative Davids.
One statistic I thought was kind of interesting. I believe you said 81% supported prohibiting e-cigarettes. Who did that study?
Representative Halverson.
Madam Speaker and Representative Davids, it's 80% support adding e-cigarettes to our clean indoor air policies, and that study was done by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota.
Well,
Representative Davids.
Madam Speaker, and if the member would yield again.
She will yield. Representative Davids.
Chair Halverson, do you think those numbers are accurate?
Representative Halverson.
Madam Speaker and Representative Davids, I have been familiar with lots of other research that Blue Cross and Blue Shield has done through their Center for Prevention with regard to public health, and their data is very strong.
Representative Davids.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I believe Blue Cross's numbers are very, very strong. They say that without a reinsurance bill that Chair Halverson's carrying, rates will go up 54%. So I trust their numbers, and Chair Halverson, I'm supporting your bill.
Any further discussion to House File 349? The member from Lyon, Representative Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And would Representative Halverson yield for a question?
She will yield. Representative Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Halverson, just looking at line 1.18 and 1.22, it came to my attention that there is e-cigarette liquid that does not contain nicotine. And how would that, so the use of a non-nicotine, because it's so specific in the face that the juice must have nicotine in it, how would that relate to non-nicotine use, and how would that be enforced?
Representative Halverson.
Madam Speaker and Representative Swedzinski, I think that the language is clear, and the prevalence of non-nicotine containing vapors is very, very low. However, we've tried to be as inclusive as possible in this language because e-cigarettes kind of snuck up on us in the Clean Indoor Air Act. So this actually includes burning or carrying a lighted or heated cigar, because you don't burn it, you heat it, sometimes to a very hot temperature. It also includes a heated product containing or made from or derived from nicotine, tobacco, marijuana, other plants, natural or synthetic. So if it is a synthetic, non-nicotine containing product, that would be included, because again, the vapors are not harmless. The vapors contain formaldehyde and other heavy metals, other toxins, other cancer-causing agents. And so what we tried to do with this language is make sure that another product doesn't sneak up on us.
Representative Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And would the author continue to yield?
She will yield. Representative Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just also looking at line 2.1 on the backside of that sheet, it talks about carrying or using an activated. So how is the word carrying? So would that make it, if you're going into a place of business, would it be simply illegal to carry that with? Is that what that language is going after?
Representative Halverson.
Madam Speaker and Representative Swedzinski, no. The language is going after carrying something that is currently heated and being used. So you don't want somebody carrying a heated or lighted product in. Whether or not you're inhaling it or not is not the issue. You can't light it or heat it either indoors.
Any further discussion to the bill? The member from Stearns, Representative Tice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make a comment that Representative Halverson said that it isn't used to get off cigarettes, and I would disagree. I spent a lot of time in a business in my district. I've talked to Benny at E-Cig Lounge many times. I've been to his place many times. Benny lives by trying to get folks off cigarettes and using one of the vaping devices, because you can choose how much nicotine you want to put in. I have talked to folks who have used the devices, and what they say over and over again is that the difference they've had in their life, they can breathe again, is absolutely phenomenal. They are so grateful for the opportunity to be able to do this and get off cigarettes. Yes, it is a cessation device, just like you would have Nicorette gum or something like that. I have a hard time saying, no, we can't do this, because I believe that a lot of people do believe, and they've seen results in which this does help them get off cigarettes. I understand the child component. I understand the issue with flavors. But I have done I've taken a lot of time to ask folks who are vaping, especially guys who are probably more the motorcycle gang type, and I'll say, what are you vaping? And they're like cotton candy, grape. And you know why? Because they can taste things again. Their taste buds have changed as well. And all of a sudden, they're kind of rediscovering a whole new taste sensation. This is Benny's life's work. He is so adamant about getting people off cigarettes, off the tobacco. Yes, nicotine is addictive, but man, you can adjust that so you're not using what you had been before, and get off. So I really appreciate the thoughts behind it, the spirit behind it, but today I will be voting no.
The member from Wright, Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question for the author, if she would yield.
She will yield. Representative McDonald.
Just a question, Representative Halverson, on Section 3, line 1.20. You list that marijuana in some of the criteria of what smoking is and inhaling. So I'm just curious, since marijuana smoking or inhaling marijuana is already illegal in the state of Minnesota, why that particular word was used in your bill.
Representative Halverson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Representative McDonald, for the question. This is about being firm and clear on what this law intends. This law intends that our air in Minnesota, when we are indoors, no matter where we are, if we're at a school or a hospital or a restaurant or our favorite local bar, that the air we're breathing is clean and free of people using any combustible or heated product to inhale. And so it's about being as broad and clear as possible. We clearly have not been as broad and clear as possible in the past, and so we're trying to make sure that this bill does that, so we don't have to come back here again. So you can be assured that your neighborhood bar will be free of these kinds of toxins.
The member from Olmsted, Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, I rise actually in support of the bill. I'm a strong supporter of this. This is something that I've been kind of, we had an earlier speech earlier this session about someone being afraid, and there are very few things I too am afraid of. But this vaping thing is really out of hand. It's out of control. To the concept that this is a cessation device, whether it is or isn't a cessation device, really is irrelevant based on the simple fact that you can't smoke a cigarette indoors. So if this is truly a cessation device, then why can't you go outside and smoke your cessation device if that's what you're using it for? So I'm afraid of this stuff because my understanding is some of this stuff is imported. It's mixed. You can Google it right now. Most of you are on your computers anyway. Go ahead and Google it and how to make my own vape juice. It's scary because some of this stuff is coming in from who knows where and who knows what's in it. And you know, it's one thing to put it to your own mouth. That's just awful. I think it's despicable. I would never consider doing it, but if other people want to do that, that's fine. But when that vapor is emitted and you're forcing me to breathe that indoors, I just can't stand for it. And I want to make one last statement, and it's something that I guess is maybe not specifically related to the bill, and I appreciate a little leniency here, Madam Speaker. Earlier this year, I was visited by the Tobacco 21 folks, and they had a handout, and I hope you all have seen this handout. I almost printed them out and had them handed out today, but I hope you can get the visual from my description. This is basically a backpack full of school supplies. And it was everything from highlighters to the little whiteout strips to, you know, all kinds of different things, that zip drives, things that we would normally think of being in a kid's backpack. And right next to the highlighter, they had the tobacco product that looked just like it. Right next to the whiteout, they had the tobacco product that looked just like it. Right next to the zip drive, they had one of these e-cigarette mechanisms, and they looked exactly the same. My daughter visited my office, and she saw that sheet of paper, and I described to her what it was. She's 15, okay? She's wise to the world. She's a pretty quick kid. She actually didn't notice the school supplies. She thought they were all tobacco products on that page that day. There are very few things that scare me in this world and in my life, but this stuff scares the pants off of me. And I support this bill. I think it's just equal treatment with other tobacco products at this point. And with whatever's coming out of that vapor, I don't trust it when I'm walking through a mall, a movie theater. We, of course, already banned this stuff in the schools, but it seems to be a real kick for the kids to try to actually do this stuff in the schools. And we need to, you know, get some more teeth on this and make sure that we're keeping this out of the hands of the kids, and certainly out of my lungs when I go and try to enjoy my public spaces and public air. So thank you for authoring the bill, and thank you for the latitude, Madam Speaker.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Katiza Watun.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise today in support of this bill. Minnesotans have come to expect clean indoor air when we go in public indoor places like restaurants, bars, Eden Prairie, actually, my city passed its policy to add e-cigarettes to their clean indoor air law in 2014. So the time is now, I think, to pass this statewide. I actually, I'm concerned as an aunt. I have 5 nieces and nephews. The 6th is on the way. I'm a mom of 3 young children. And I texted my niece who's in middle school earlier today specifically about this. And I said, I'm reading about the rampant use of e-cigarettes. I said, no one is trying to get you to do that, right? And she goes, I think they're gross. She said, but I know a lot of people at school who are using them. And that I was reassured that she's not trying them, but I think that we need to do everything that we can do to stem the use of tobacco by our youth and to make sure that our clean indoor air remains that way. Thank you. I support this bill.
The member from Dakota, Representative Garofalo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the author yield for a question?
She will yield. Representative Garofalo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Representative Halverson. My wife buys these like essential oil things. Is this going to be prohibited under your bill?
Representative Halverson.
Madam Speaker, Representative Garofalo, no.
Representative Garofalo.
Madam Speaker, Representative Halverson, that's a shame because she spends a ton of money on those things and I hate them. So I was kind of hoping the answer would be yes. But, Madam Speaker and members, I was hoping not to speak on this bill, but there doesn't seem to be anyone kind of chiming up on this. Some people still actually believe in letting people make their own personal choices and having personal freedoms without having the nanny state tell them what to do. This is the argument that this is about keeping it out of the hands of kids or schools and when they're in school is a fallacy. It's already illegal under government and current regulations. You can't do it in a public location. This is not about healthier air. This is about the same thing it was the first time this issue came through here with the so-called Freedom to Breathe Act, the smoking ban. It's about government telling people what to do. And I'll never forget, we had an amendment on this floor that let people set up things called smoke shacks. Right? So in a bar where only people were 21 years of age or older would be, and the employees weren't going, so you're not freezing your tail off outside, you could smoke a cigarette in that adjacent facility. And the people who were opposed to that bill still voted against it because it had nothing to do about clean air, it had nothing to do about workplace safety or keeping it from kids. It's about government telling people what to do. And so I'm going to lose this vote, but I'm hoping there's a couple people in this chamber that see things the way I do and will vote no on this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, this is not that straightforward. There's some complexity to it. I would feel a little easier if we actually knew what was in the vapor, because frankly, there's not a lot of quality control. There's not a lot of actually control over what is put in it. You've got people that will mix stuff up. I'm not sure where all the ingredients come from. So you can't be sure if, secondhand or whatever impact it might be on someone else. And frankly, if I walk by it, I could smell the grape or whatever flavor it is. I don't know what else there might be. Now, for fairness, I had issues with the original legislation and frankly what Representative Garofalo was talking about. But it is the law. So when I look at this, are we basically being consistent with what is the intent of what was passed in that law or not? Have we found people that do a loophole to bypass the law? And when I look at it, that's part of the thought process. But really what pushed me over was this is uncontrolled. We don't know what is there. And so, frankly, until we can be assured what's there and what's not, because in Colorado, in their shops that they sell vapors to go, vapor devices right along with the recreational product. And, so we don't know, legal or not, what's there. And so I will reluctantly be voting green.
The member from Goodhue, Representative Haley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I acknowledge the viewpoint of my colleagues about government interference, and I respect that viewpoint, but I share a different one. When I came to this body 3 years ago, one of my commitments to the people of my district was to work on lowering healthcare costs. I'm privileged to serve on HHS Finance and also on the Commerce Committee. Under the leadership of Chairs Liebing and Chairs Halverson, we spent a lot of time discussing various proposals. Most of these deal with reforms and changes to the health insurance industry. We all know that the rising costs of health care will bankrupt this state if we don't make dramatic changes. Excuse me, if we don't make dramatic changes, we will continue to just eat up the majority of our resources, and we will take away from other priorities like education and transportation. One of the things that we've done that we can say has lowered costs is the reinsurance bill. Continuing that is a debate for another day. But frankly, with the other things, we are just nibbling around the edges, because we know what we really need to be talking about is changing the health of the underlying population. We need to address the habits, and we need to address the things to reduce the incidences of chronic disease. And one of the things that is well documented is the impact of smoking and the effects that has on somebody's long-term health and the costs of the chronic health conditions that result from that. It's for these reasons that I am in support of this bill, in an effort to send a message to our youth that these habits will impact your long-term health, in an effort to stem what my high school principal called the tsunami of addiction coming to the next generation. Thank you.
Members, please take your conversations into the alcoves and the retiring room. The member from Hennepin, Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to respond to a couple points that some of the members in opposition made. It was stated that these are cessation products, and I have heard that from individual people that it has helped them. But however, that's different. A cessation product is actually a term defined in federal law. It's gone through an FDA process. So when you talk about lozenges, patches, nicotine gum, those are all approved by the FDA to be used as a cessation product. E-cigarettes are not. As Representative Quam said, there's not a lot of quality control in them. We don't know what's in them. And I think the argument about personal freedom is kind of misplaced too. When I go out in a public place, I don't want to breathe products that don't have a lot of quality control, that we don't know what's in them. These products emit an aerosol. The word vapor gets used a lot, but scientifically speaking, what they actually emit is an aerosol, and we don't know what's in them. They're not regulated as well. So I will be certainly voting green. Thank you, Representative Halverson, for carrying this bill. It's kind of amazing to me how far we've come on this issue just to hear such strong support from both sides of the aisle on this issue. I think the state has moved a long way. Freedom to breathe, when it was passed in 2007, was controversial at the time, didn't pass by much. And the issue of e-cigarettes has taken a while, I think, for people to finally realize what a danger they are. And they really are. The use by youth of these products has just exploded in the last year or two. And we don't know what's in them, so this bill tackles one important gap in state law, helps address this problem, and I will be very enthusiastically voting in support of it, and I encourage others to do so as well. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any further discussion to the bill? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. There being 100 ayes and 25 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Report from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration.
Winkler from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration, pursuant to Rules 1.21 and 3.33, designates the following bills to be placed on the calendar for the day from Monday, March 18, 2019, and establishes a pre-filing requirement for amendments offered to the following bills: House File numbers 50 and 400 and Senate File number 1743.
Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there is no objection, we will take action on these motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail.
Barr moves that House File number 1558 be recalled from the Veterans and Military Affairs Finance and Policy Division and be re-referred to the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources Policy.
The member from Anoka, Representative Barr, two-year motion.
Madam Speaker, that is my motion. I've talked to the chair of both committees, and it needs to go to the environment before it comes back to veterans.
Any discussion to the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails.
Johnson moves that House File number 400, now on the calendar for the day, be re-referred to the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Reform Finance and Policy Division.
The member from Isanti, Representative Johnson, two-year motion.
Members, my motion is to move House File 400 to Public Safety. In Article 5, there's appropriations to the Bureau of Apprehension, and this bill had never been to Public Safety to talk about it. There's almost $600 million being appropriated with 2 full-time employees, and I do believe that Public Safety does need to talk about this bill.
Discussion to the motion. The member from Ramsey, Representative Mariani.
Mr. Chair, members, we just had a very quick conversation here with both Representative Johnson and Representative Olson, who has this bill. Members, I frankly don't see the need for us to have this review and this conversation in the committee. We had this conversation with Representative Olson months ago as she was preparing, this bill. What's happening here is that there's a special revenue fund that's being created through the tax that's involved here related to opiates. Without that appropriation, nothing's going to happen. The work that's currently expected to be happening is fully within the scope of this board. The author had the conversation with them, had conversation with all other state agencies. Nothing is coming out of our target. Nothing is coming out of, there's no change in policy happening here. Frankly, I don't see the need for our committee to see this work. If that special fund doesn't happen, nothing is going to happen. So members, if we were doing something, changing policy with this board, if we were generating some revenue impact, appropriation impact within our ongoing appropriation with them, then absolutely we would be looking at this. This is an important issue. You all know, addressing the opiate problem in the state of Minnesota is critical. There's a very unique approach here that's creating its own revenue source in order to take care of this issue. Members, I think we need to continue to move forward with this important public policy issue and not hang it up in a committee that's only going to look at it and say, yeah, you're generating the funds, you're doing the same work. I just don't see what we're going to add in our committee to that conversation. So, Madam Chair, I don't feel a need to see this bill.
Discussion to the motion. Seeing no further discussion, Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I would just like to disagree slightly because it's not just where the revenue is coming from, it's also where the spending is going to. And I think it is important for us at the Public Safety Committee to take a look at where it's going to. And the BCADS, they do incredibly important work here in Minnesota related to this. And so it is quite a bit of money. I think that it is important for the Public Safety Committee to at least have a look at this. In fact, I can tell you that it was so important that in the governor's proposal, in the governor's presentation, that this was in that discussion. And I remember asking a question about it in public safety, so it actually is something that I think that we should look at in full and take the bill back to public safety and have a good vetting. Thank you. I encourage you to support Representative Johnson's motion.
Discussion to the motion. The maker of the motion, Representative Johnson.
Members, yes, this might be a special revenue fund, but it's hiring 2 employees. If that revenue fund does not produce the funds they predict, just like our last forecast where it went down, we're hiring 2 employees that we might not have the funding for. That has to be made up somewhere. Please, members, this does need to be discussed very thoroughly in the Public Safety Commission about the employees being hired.
Representative Olson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would just say that as was mentioned, I did speak with Chair Mariani, and I actually did have a long conversation with DPS and BCA about the bill and about the staff in this as well. And so they were comfortable moving forward with the understanding that this would be generated by a special revenue account. And so I did want to mention that. And I did just want to remind members, as this is the second motion to try to re-refer this bill, that this bill has been to HHS policy. This bill has been to Commerce. This bill has been to Government Operations. This bill has been to Judiciary and Civil Law. This bill has been to HHS Finance, and this bill has been to Ways and Means.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. The motion does not prevail. Announcements. The member from Hennepin, Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. DFL members of the Government Operations Committee, we will be meeting immediately in the caucus room downstairs.
Member from Ramsey, Representative Pinto.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Early Childhood Financing Policy Division will be reconvening in 30 minutes in room 400 North in the State Office Building. Thank you.
Member from Hennepin, Representative Hornstein.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Transportation Finance and Policy Division will be reconvening in room 10 in 15 minutes.
Member from Ramsey, Representative Lush.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. The Judiciary Committee will be reconvening in the basement of the SOB in 12 and a half minutes. So you remember.
Any further announcements? The member from Wright, Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On a brighter note, I just want to notice at the desk there's a House resolution in honor of the upcoming holiday, St. Patrick's Day, this Sunday, March 17th, in which we honor St. Patrick, who brought many good things to the average folks in Ireland. He was able to teach the gospel, Jesus' words of compassion, forgiveness, love, tenderness, and do it in a loving, tenderly way with not one spill of blood. And for that reason, it is a holy day for us Irish, and we celebrate the gift of St. Patrick. And at your desk, there's a resolution. For those of you in the chambers who have green on, that is the reason why we celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And we honor of the great Christian blessings that he bestowed upon the Ireland people back in the 17th century. So for all those of Irish here, I say cheers and God bless.
Any further announcements? The member from Ramsey, Representative Moran.
The Posse Caucus would not be meeting after today's floor session.
Any further announcements? Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 3:30 p.m. Monday, March 18th, 2019.
Representative Winkler moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourn until 3:30 p.m. Monday, March 18th, 2019. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Winkler moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails and the House stands adjourned until 3:30 p.m. Monday, March 18th, 2019.